Chisel. Neal.
Here.
Carlson.
Here.
Luce.
Here.
Zittergrun.
Here.
Hadley.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Okay, we got public comment. We have oath of office for Fallon Cassidy. You want to come up to the...
Tonight we welcome a new police officer to our department. Fallon Cassidy. The ceremony to award and pin the police badge on an individual who has earned it has been a long-standing law enforcement community tradition. The badge is the most important item of equipment that one is awarded as a police officer. The symbolism as a badge, whether it's oval or star-shaped, has always been the same. It represents an ancient warrior's shield, the shield of protection. The symbolism is twofold. It represents the protection that we provide the community and that the community provides us. The finish on the badge is gold. That represents something precious. It's an imperative that the badge remains shiny, for if you do anything to tarnish it, whether on duty or off duty, you don't just tarnish our badge, you tarnish the badge of all of us that wear the uniform. Here at the Decorah Police Department, we value professionalism, and we're committed to having the best in our agency. The best training, the best equipment, the best policies, and most importantly, the best people. At this time, I invite Fallon's family to stand up. Family is a huge part of what we are and a huge part of the reason we got to where we're at today. There isn't a man or woman in this department, in this room right now wearing the uniform that won't say the same thing. So a round of applause for Fallon's family. Fallon has chosen to have her father do the honor of pinning the badge on her tonight. So, sir, I'll have you step up. Hey, welcome to the Decorah Police Department. Before we do the swearing in, I want to offer you some words of advice. Number one, show gratitude. As we said before, you wouldn't be here today without support from your family. Number two, remain humble. No task is beneath you. Number three, challenge yourself. I'm a firm believer that our paths progress the way they do for a reason. Number four, rise above. There's a lot of negativity and pettiness that goes along with this profession. Rise above it. There is no greater job. Number five, possess integrity. Live your life and conduct yourself with integrity. And finally, take care of yourself. A work-life balance is important in this position. So congratulations, Fallon. We'll have Wanda step up and she'll be just sworn in and you'll be official.
Raise your right hand. I, Fallon Cassidy. Do solemnly swear. That I will support the Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of the State of Iowa. And that I will faithfully and impartially. To the best of my ability. Discharge all duties of police officer. As now or hereafter required by law. Perfect. Thank you.
Congratulations and welcome. Okay. The proclamation for Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Lupita Solis, you want to come up to the microphone? And just, you might have to pull it down a little bit and talk right into it. Can you give us, let's say you're with Helping Services?
Yeah, definitely. So nice to meet you all. My name is Lupita Solis. I'm the bilingual sexual assault advocate for Riverview Center here in the Decorah office. On behalf of Riverview Center, I do want to thank all of you for supporting our organization and our mission and supporting our survivors. For those of you who do not know who we are a nonprofit agency who offers free and confidential services of advocacy and therapy to survivors of sexual assault. We help them from legal advocacy to medical advocacy to general advocacy, connecting them with different resources that helps them meet their basic needs. And we do have a 24/7 hotline number, so we're always on the go and on the call, ready to help whoever needs us.
I also put, for council, I put a brochure. Whereas sexual assault affects individuals of any gender, race, culture, or socioeconomic background, and whereas in addition to the immediate physical and emotional cost, sexual assault may also have associated consequences of post-traumatic stress disorder, substance abuse, depression, homelessness, eating disorders, and suicide. And whereas sexual assault is devastating not only to the survivor, but also for the family and friends of the victim or survivor. And whereas since no one person, organization, agency, or community can eliminate sexual assault on their own, we must work together to educate our entire population about what can be done to prevent sexual assault, support victims and survivors and their families, as well as support those agencies providing services to victims and survivors. Now therefore, I, Lorraine Borowski, Mayor of the City of Decorah, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2021 Sexual Assault Awareness Month and encourage all citizens to learn more about preventing violence. Thank you for bringing this forward, and thank you for you and other organizations that work towards this effort. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And then I have a second proclamation, and this has to do with Garlic Mustard Awareness Week. And I know that we have many avid garlic mustard people who go around pulling garlic. I have one that I run with. And she oftentimes I have to wait till she stops and pick a few out of the park. The proclamation is, whereas invasive species such as garlic mustard are non-native species that can invade an ecosystem, causing ecological or economic harm. Invasive species threaten prairies, woodlands, and riversides in many areas of Decorah. Whereas invasive species can multiply rapidly, displacing native plants and animals and degrading habitat. Habitat loss and competition from invasive species are the primary reasons plants and animals become threatened or endangered. In particular, garlic mustard can become 100% monoculture in our rich biodiverse riversides and woods. The normal array of spring wildflowers and many native species are displaced by this aggressive invader. Whereas the Friends of Decorah Parks has been identifying and removing garlic mustard for past 20 springs, while also raising awareness of this tenacious biannual. Years of hard work from a small group of volunteers has kept garlic mustard at bay and brought back our spring wildflowers in some areas. Whereas while a vile invader, therefore, be it resolved that I, Lorraine Borowski, Mayor of the City of Decorah, do hereby proclaim April 11th through the 17th, 2021 as Garlic Mustard Awareness Week. Volunteers are continually needed and welcomed. All citizens can help combat the spread of garlic in Decorah with events on April 14th, 16th, and 17th. Garlic mustard is an edible plant and can be cooked and sampled in numerous ways. Creative restaurants in Decorah have taken it upon themselves to offer garlic mustard tasting opportunities while we enjoy eating the enemy. This is dated the 5th of April. It's my honor to be able to do this. Thank you. Is there anything else that anyone wishes to bring before the council for items that are not on the agenda? Hearing none, consent agenda.
Minutes of the March 15th and March 22nd, 2021 meetings. Claims. Resolution 3179, setting a public hearing for the fiscal 21 budget, May 3rd. Renewal Class C liquor license for Haymarket, including Sunday sales. Renewal of Class C liquor license for T-Box, including Sunday sales and outdoor service area privileges. Renewal of Class C liquor license for the Landing Market, including Sunday sales and outdoor service area privileges. 2021 Farmers Market lease agreement. Special event applications for the March for Life on May 1st, 2021, and Nordic Fest July 22nd through the 24th. And Resolution 3180, setting a public hearing for the 2021 East Main Street Improvement Project on May 3rd.
Move for approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Motion made by Chisel, second by Zittergruen. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, roll call.
Chisel.
Aye.
Zittergruen.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Hadley.
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Luce.
Aye.
Motion passed. Consider ordinance 1269, increasing water rates. This is the second reading.
I'd move for approval of ordinance 1269.
I'll second.
Motion made by Chisel, seconded by Neo. Any discussion? Roll call.
Chisel.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Luce.
Aye.
Zittergruen.
Aye.
Hadley.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
And I'd move to waive the third reading and adopt.
Second.
Move to waive by Chisel, second by Zittergruen. Any further discussion? This is to waive and adopt.
Has there been any feedback, Wanda?
No.
Okay.
There's been no feedback. Roll call.
Chisel.
Aye.
Zittergruen.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Luce.
Aye.
Hadley.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Motion carries. Ordinance 1270, increased sewer rates, second reading.
I'd move to approve ordinance 1270.
Second.
Motion made by Chisel, seconded by Zittergruen to waive. Second reading. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Chisel.
Aye.
Zittergruen.
Aye.
Hadley. Hadley.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Luce.
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Motion carried.
I would move to waive the third reading and adopt ordinance 1270.
I'll second.
Motion made by Chisel, adopted by Neal to waive and adopt. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call.
Chisel.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Zittergruen.
Aye.
Hadley.
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Luce.
Aye.
Motion carried. Ordinance 1271, creating Chapter 13.44 Stormwater Management and amending Chapters 13.40 and 16.04 of the Decorah Municipal Code. This is the second reading.
I'd make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion made by Hadley, second by Chisel. Any discussion? Roll call?
Hadley,
Aye.
Chisel,
Aye.
Sittergruen,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Carlson,
Aye.
Luce.
Aye.
Then I would move to waive the third reading of ordinance 1271 and adopt.
Second, Hadley.
Motion made by Chisel to waive the third reading and adopt, seconded by Hadley. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Chisel,
Aye.
Hadley,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Luce,
Aye.
Carlson,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Sittergruen.
Aye.
Motion carried. Consider approval of a site plan for 308 Sumner Avenue, Winnebago County Ag Association.
Okay, I think I'll just turn this over to Greg Swanson, and he can give just a little bit of background on that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think here. So this is for the ag building that we've got down at the Rice County Fairgrounds. Rice County, I'm sorry, Winnebago Fairgrounds. I'm from Minnesota, sorry. It was presented, this was back in December, but it was pulled off the agenda, and it recently came back up as of last Wednesday night. And what they're proposing is a new building in place of the other one that was presented months ago. And everything looks fine on it. They're using the same variance they had as the 5-foot setback from the property line. And the building, I think, is about 18,000 square feet, and the old one was 21,600. So there's no issues with it at all. I know Jeremy's got some background maybe on the utilities and things like that, but we recommend passing.
It received unanimous approval from P&Z.
Has there been any communication on it at all?
No. Although Ron Hemsott is here if you have any questions, specific questions about it. He's representing Winnebago County Ag.
I did see in the Dropbox that Alliant is going to be providing new service and whatnot to the site, and just some updates in that area. I do remember also that the parking lot and whatnot is somewhat swampy at times. Given the fact that this is a large building that will be shedding a lot of water, has there been consideration to handling stormwater runoff?
Might either, Jeremy, have you had any discussion, or Greg, was that discussed at P&Z at all?
Not a lot. Is Jeremy here? Okay. He might be able to handle that a little bit better as far as the drainage and utilities.
Jeremy?
Yeah. Yep. That's something I think we want to follow. There was a slight change in the site plan. I know initially they had proposed to connect part of the building to an existing drain line that would connect essentially to our culvert pipe that extends through the levee. But that's something I think we want to, my understanding, and Ron, you maybe can answer this too. I think the plan is just to let the building drain to the site like the existing buildings do now. But that was one of the things that we just want to confirm on our end.
So you're saying that you want to make sure and confirm that with them?
Our understanding right now is that there's no plan other than, it's either going to be site drainage or connect to an existing drain tile. Those are the either option A or option B. We just want to confirm which one is correct. When the site plan was submitted, we don't have any for stormwater, on-site stormwater management. Of course, that has changed.
Yeah.
But when the site plan was submitted, we did not.
So, go ahead.
Okay, by the elevations and the topograph that's on the site plan that you have now, we have roughly, if I remember right, 2.5 feet of fall of natural grade after the site is completed from the west to the east, and the east is where the existing storm inlet is at. So by removing all the existing buildings that were there, which were creating all these little dams and brought up water issues and what have you, and by moving the building all the way to the west towards the street, I believe it's Sumner Street, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
By doing that, the east side of, the west side of the building will drain towards Sumner Street, and that water will flow wherever it's flowing now, I guess. But to the west, or no, to the east, from the ridge line to the east, we've just got a natural, gentle slope to contend with. And that area will be grass parking, so someone mentioned something about swampy conditions. I do believe that'll clean up that issue completely.
Yeah, and I guess if it's on your, if the drainage is on your land, it's it's kind of on you, right? But I wanted to make sure I understood where the tie-in was, and the effects that could happen on within our system in that area. Jeremy, I also know we have some problems with localized flooding right in that area at Sumner, because it's a low spot where you enter into the fairgrounds area. Do you have any concerns?
No, I think the majority of this is going to be on their site. I don't expect a lot of this water to get into the street system, if that's what you're referring to. The levee, or excuse me, the culvert levee that this water would end up at is downstream from our floodgates, so it shouldn't contribute to that flooding either. So, given the amount of green space and where I anticipate this water to go, I don't have significant concerns.
Thank you both.
Jeremy, what about your concern listed on the final plan about the easements for water?
Yeah, Steve, that's something really that we need to figure out. If it's a city main, we as a city should have an easement because the main's on private property. We're still tracking that down. Is it a main or is it a 4-inch service? So we're still working on that. That's something that really is our responsibility to figure out. If it's considered a main and we don't have an easement, we need to get one from the property owner.
Well, that's why I wondered how friendly they were about such if we need them, and if this is a leverage piece to help us get that.
I wouldn't anticipate it being an issue, really. I would think it'd be in their interest for the city to want to be able to access and maintain that main. If we can't get an easement, then I would think it would turn it over to them for maintenance and ownership.
Okay.
Okay. I'm looking for consider approval for the site plan for 308 Sumner Avenue.
Mayor Luce would move approval of the site plan for 308 Sumner.
Johnson will second.
Motion made by Luce, seconded by Johnson. Any further discussion? Hearing or seeing none, roll call.
Luce.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Neal. Aye. Hadley.
Aye.
Chisel. Zittergrund.
Aye.
Motion carried. All right, Thank you for coming in, Ron. Consider request from Decorah Sustainability Commission and city staff for use of funds to install 2 electrical vehicles, EV charging stations.
I'm happy to make a motion to approve the request for funding for the 2 EV charging stations in North Alley as submitted.
Luce with second.
Wait, just a minute. We have a motion made by Hadley, seconded by Luce. Discussion.
Ross, exactly where are these going?
If you look in Dropbox, there's actually a map with the locations and the pedestal configurations.
It's number 7, Randy.
Basically behind what was West Music there, Randy, and behind the co-op. We're kind of in the corner of the city parking lot there, by the co-op.
Okay.
They're number 7.
Yep, item 7, I found them.
There you go.
And if you can visualize where the transformer boxes are now, you'll understand exactly where they are.
Okay, so it's one parking place.
Am I right? Decorah Bank is also helping support these?
Yeah, 50%.
Yep, 50% cost share with Decorah Bank.
So,
Great example of a public-private partnership working together.
Okay. I got one of the naive questions on this. Like a gas pump then, do you run a credit card when you charge your vehicles with these? Or how does that work?
It's an app. You have an app
But yes,
on your phone.
they pay for, I mean, yes. I
So
think what you're
this
asking.
is a possible revenue.
It isn't right now because it's Alliance right at the moment. So for them it is.
Okay. All right, I'm just asking
Yeah.
questions
Oh,
that
that's
I get
good.
asked.
No,
For-
you have to do that if you.
I did ask, and I do think eventually, thinking about how to get, when we put in EV stations, to think about how we can also make them solar and think about how we can use them to generate some revenue for us. And I do think there is a way that we can put a service charge on them. Is this correct, Ross? So that we can get a little bit of money back for their maintenance, because the city will be responsible for maintaining them, not Alliant. Is that correct?
After 2 years.
Yeah.
How much are they asking for this? What's the total cost of this project?
it's $5,000 up front. It's yearly service fees, our software agreement with the company of $11.20 a year. And it's also, there's going to be, ongoing, we'll have to paint, signage, maintenance maybe.
Okay.
Alliant is covering that service fee for the first 2 years. I talked to Jim Martin Schramm about this because I had a bunch of questions also, and he sort of said that maybe it might make sense to think about this as something with a 10-year timeline. So in terms of thinking about the total costs, no one knows what the future holds exactly, but to think about this like a bridge towards a time when maybe these things are more ubiquitous, or gas stations. There's some equivalent, like, in the private sector, like gas stations that provides these services. And I thought that, what he had said there made sense. If he's right about that 10-year timeline, the total cost of the city is something like $13,000.
But again, you can pass the service fee cost on to
That's right.
customers.
That's
Yeah,
right.
so I do recommend that we do that, so that we're not paying that $1,200 every year.
We can set our rates
Yep,
for
we can set the
electricity once it passes over to us.
Well, we can also, even with Alliant getting the electricity rate, we can check on a service fee for the city use
So
currently.
that's- Steve, that's 5,000 for both chargers or
That's,
stations?
yes, that's right. So the Decorah Bank is kicking in the 5, and then we would have to kick in the other 5.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, any further discussion?
I think if it generates additional tourism dollars, which it very well might, I think it's a no-brainer. I have encountered people who said that they'd love to come to Decorah, but it's hard to find charging stations. Not many, but I've had that conversation with someone at Toppling Goliath once, and so I think having that available somewhere in town is something that makes our town more attractive to some people. And these cars are only going to get more common, so I think it makes sense to make sure that the service is available in the city.
Yeah, because right now if you Google where to go, it's actually sending people to West Union. So hopefully they'll get a hit now that you can go to Decorah.
I don't know the answer to this question, but I'll ask it anyway. Are there gas stations out there that currently pump, gasoline that are putting in any electrical charging stations in Iowa? Or is that not happening? Do we know?
Well, it's in the current infrastructure bill, but it's not currently happening.
Okay.
That I know of. Have you heard of any, Ross?
No, I haven't. But as you say, it's a rapidly moving target, and I think that just getting these in and having the 2 years on Alliant and having Decorah Bank being willing to sponsor is a wonderful thing.
And actually, if you look for most of them, they're either in private organizations that own them or cities, like West Union.
Okay, any further comments, discussions?
Want to say thank you to Alliant and Decorah Bank, and I think it'd just be one more asset and potential tourism dollars, like Steve said. So I would be in favor of it.
I just have a question. I know that part of this request was also to discuss that they wanted us to be thinking in terms of our budget process for ongoing maintenance of these things, other costs attendant to it. Is that going to come up on an agenda later on? Is that how we would do this, or?
Okay, so are you talking about how we use the process to request funding for those franchise fees? Because that's a little later on the agenda.
Well, no, I'm aware that is, yeah. I guess, so in the request from the Sustainability Commission and from Jeremy, it says, we also recommend the City Council discuss fees that might be charged for the use of the station. That is, what are we going to charge? Because we get to set the price, I guess. And then
Sure.
we also request that a small budget be established for annual maintenance of the chargers, cleaning charges, cleaning charging stations, refreshing pavement markings, et cetera. And so I don't, that seems like a process that we wouldn't even worry about till the next year's budgeting process. Is that right?
Well, unless somebody knows exactly what that budget would look like now.
I
And
would-
technically, that's really not on the agenda.
Yeah.
And I would make a recommendation that we wait to discuss that. We need to know what the fee will be from Alliant. We need to get them installed. And
Right.
there is some work in the contract, I think, that Alliant will sort of take care of them for 2 years. So
Yep.
we just need to know what it is we're gonna need.
Right.
And then I think we do add that to the service fee. So it winds up being, it should be a revenue neutral, a budget neutral endeavor.
Okay, any further comments, discussion? Hearing none, roll call?
Hadley,
Aye.
Luce,
Aye.
Carlson,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Zittergrun,
Aye.
Chisholm.
Motion carries. Consider Resolution 3181, authorizing submittal of an application to the FY 2022 Community Project Funding.
Okay, so the potential for this came up late last week, and Jeremy and Tom have been trying to get some information about it and do some checking into it. And Jeremy, do you want to review what you've maybe learned, if you've learned anything new today on the status of this grant potential?
Yeah, and actually I'm going to have Tom do that since he's spent most of the time on this. But the short version too is this is a program called the Community Project Funding. The federal government House Appropriations Committee established, used to be called the Earmarks. And yeah, it was brought to our attention by McClure last week. And so, Tom, I'll let you, if you're on here, I think maybe provide a little more background.
Sure. Yeah, we, like Jeremy mentioned, became aware of it as a possible opportunity late last week, and reviewing the requirements and looking back at the capital improvement plan and also the comprehensive plan, came up with a short list of projects that we thought may be good candidates. John Anderson helped us draft the resolution for this evening. It is a little bit unusual. McClure received the information because they are in Representative Cindy Axne's United States Congressional District. We're, of course, in Ashley Henson's. She's not made any announcements from her office about this opportunity, which kind of seems a little unusual to us. I haven't heard anything back as of today, but I know we are on a list of people waiting to hear from them as they try to gather more information. What was communicated to us by her staff in their Waterloo office is there's a question whether anyone in her district may be eligible to submit candidate projects because she is on the appropriations committee, and there may be a conflict of interest there. So no new updates on that front, but have reached out to several people, including our state senator and congressperson there, and they were not aware of this either. So still, I think, in a holding pattern to get some better guidance on what all requirements will be needed to be met to turn in a project, if we're given the opportunity to do so.
And when do you have to have that submitted by?
16th.
April 16th is what Representative Axney's handout has as the date, but Jeremy and I were actually able to find some other city council resolutions from other states and had other dates in early April. So it's a little unclear, but we're going with April 16th since that's the best information we have right now.
Does this obligate us in any way?
If we were...
Oh, go ahead, Don.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, one of the requirements that we've found and have is a resolution of support from council. So we're trying to be proactive because we know if and when we hopefully get some additional guidance, we'll have to move quickly. But part of the resolution does state because a match is required, but the council would have ultimate discretion on whether or not to move forward with that. We just wanted to bring this to your attention, hopefully get this resolution passed, that there's support, and then allow us to keep moving forward. Again, it's an unusual opportunity, but one that comes up not very often. I think this program hasn't been around for a while, so we didn't want to miss out if there'd be an opportunity for us to pursue.
Hadley makes a motion to approve the resolution as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Hadley, seconded by Zittergruen. Further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call.
Hadley.
Aye.
Zittergruen.
Aye.
Chisel.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Luce.
Aye.
Motion carried. I really appreciate you guys being proactive in something that could be advantageous. You never know, but sometimes it comes a little too late. We aren't able to apply, so I appreciate you looking into it and at least doing more exploring for it. We'll look forward to hearing if there's anything further that's going to come out of that. Okay. Consider ordinance 1272, creating chapter 15.12 building codes. First reading.
Well, this is the long-awaited building code ordinance that we've all been anticipating. I have had zero involvement with putting this all together. It was all really Chad and Steve and John. So if you have any questions, I would defer to them.
Luce would move acceptance of the first reading of ordinance 3182.
Neal
I'm sorry, 12/20/72.
Neal seconds.
Okay, we have Luce with a motion, seconded by Neal, and discussion. And I think Greg do you have something to offer during the discussion?
No, I'm just available if there's questions.
Well, I should say that I've heard from builders and from a business owner downtown and from someone who owns a local building supply company that they have concerns about these building codes in terms of the sort of extent of cost increases that they might sort of place on the building process. And I think we ought to at least sort of discuss that. I don't know how or where to start. Have we gotten any official feedback at City Hall? Or has that mostly just been people talking to each other and occasional side conversations? Has anyone called, Wanda?
I have not spoken with anyone.
I would think the cost to the city of having housing that's being built that isn't following any guidelines and can't be subject to inspections, that it's being built right, would cause us a bigger expense in terms of quality housing and the view of the state of how things. There are some houses in town that have been built by people coming in to build things that are not following standards. So I think this is vehemently important that we pass.
And I do think, I mean, even looking around the state of Iowa, we are unique in not having them. So, I mean, obviously there's building and development going on in other communities, and they seem to be faring just fine with codes.
I worked with a real estate investor from out of state who was looking at Decorah and was concerned about the costs associated with them. But Greg had put together a fact sheet that he had used in conjunction with the builders conferences that has the formulary information for costing. And after I presented it to them, they expressed, coming from Florida, that Decorah was very, very affordable, and thought that the fact sheet was very self-explanatory. So thanks to staff for putting that together.
I'll say sort of one more thing on this. I think I'm in favor of the proposals. I think that sort of having a building code is one thing, and sort of the discretion of how it is enforced is another thing. And I think those are both important considerations. My instinct as a council person would be to encourage staff to rigorously enforce issues that directly pertain towards personal safety, especially the safety of laborers. I have lived in a place where the building code was enforced much more stringently than that. Having to spend $100 to move a railing or a banister a half an inch up or down is I guess that's not the sort of reputation I'd like Decorah to have in terms of being an unfriendly environment for people who are building here, who are looking to come here. So I think that's maybe something that we'll feel our way into or grow into in terms of exactly how, when we choose to, exercise discretion and when we choose to sort of enforce the code rigidly. And I just hope that those considerations are part of this whole calculus for your office, Greg.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I've talked to a lot of contractors out there. I've had a lot of one-on-ones and group meetings. And I tell everybody I'm here to work with them. We're not here to gouge everybody. We're certainly going to charge, a fair amount for, I don't mean large in fair, but a fair amount for new homes, additions, and large-scale type remodels and that. But I've also explained to a lot of these guys too, if you're replacing your front door or replacing a window, maybe doing some new flooring, it's not going to require a permit, and we're not going to gouge anybody for something like that. It's all within reason. So we're here to be fair with everybody and work with everybody. I just want to make sure things are being done correctly when they are being done.
They're here.
Any other further discussion, comments?
I have a question. I'm just wondering, does having building codes do anything for our insurance for our firemen? Like the fact that we have them and now we have inspections? Like, will our insurance go down at all, or does it not affect insurance at all?
I don't think it's going to have an impact on our insurance costs.
I was just thinking for the safety of our firemen, it's nice to have some building codes.
Now, as far as the cities, our personal insurance, now, will we get a different rating on our fire rating? Possibly. I really don't know the answer to that. But it's conceivable.
Yeah.
Okay. Roll call?
Luce.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Hadley.
Aye.
Chisholm. Zittergrun.
Aye.
Motion carries. Resolution 3182, establishing building code fees.
I think this is what's more of the question that I've been getting. So Greg, you and I have talked about this quite a bit. The $300,000, 1,500 square foot home is just ballpark about $2,000 in fees. Is that kind of where we're sitting?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, ballpark, yes. It was like 1,900 or something like that, I believe it was. I had that in that sample.
Right.
It was actually a 1,600 square foot home.
I'm just going by our conversations because the coffee talk is it's gonna cost $5,000 to $7,500 for an average home to be built in town here. And I'm going,
Yeah, I've heard that several times too. You know, an addition's gonna cost $10,000 permit fee, and when I hear that, I just let these guys know, give me a call, and so I can let them know what the actual scoop is and what the actual fees are gonna be. Everything is square footage based and valuation based on the project. And we're using fees that, I kind of used a network of about 5 or 6 different towns and counties around the area to come up with kind of a basis or standard for the fees. And we also, let's see here. Some of the valuation prices, based off some of the formulas I use from these other cities, but I'm using a fee schedule from the 1997 Uniform Building Code. And they do have them published all the way up until 2015 and 2018 for these fees too, but you know, we don't want to go way out there on a limb as far as these costs go. So I'm going back as far as I can to get some of these old costs and fees to keep it low.
Are there communities, when thinking about trying to expand workforce housing, that do things with fee structure and to encourage building of workforce housing?
I guess I'm not sure.
We don't have to do anything with that now, but I do think that would be an interesting, as we think about incentives to get developers to come in to think about affordable housing, what we can do with fees that within that structure. I mean, one of the reasons I'm excited about this is because I think it does offer us another tool in our toolbox for encouraging development that we need. And one of those types of developments both would be affordable housing, but also thinking about sustainability and how that can impact the way in which we build our community. So.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any other questions about the fees or anything like that. I can certainly go through them.
I move for approval of resolution 3182.
Luce would second.
Motion made by Chisholm, seconded by Luce. Any further discussion?
I'll just
Go ahead.
I'm going to ask just a pretty, I guess, a direct question. Let's say that Randy's figuring or remembrance of your conversation was right, and we're talking. Did you say like two-ish thousand or 3-ish thousand for a $300,000 home?
We were thinking it was right around $2,000.
So I mean, honestly, the fee numbers are higher than I expected when we were having this conversation. And I'm just curious, what are home builders getting for the $2,000? I mean, how many site visits, how many hours of staff time would you say would go into doing your work with regard to a typical 4-bedroom home?
Well, it all depends upon the complexity of the home, for one. Some of these costs, I can just kind of, not necessarily for the home you're describing, but some of these costs go toward supplies, updated code books, maybe 2 to 4 hours of plan check and code review. You know, if it's a commercial building, something bigger, that could be a 2 to 3 day process. It also would include site inspections. So like, say, on a new home, there's probably 10 to 12 times I'll be out there at that home and looking around for 15 minutes to a half an hour and verifying some of these things that are being done. It also covers pre-construction meetings, permit processing, clerical. I mean, it covers a lot of things.
That 10 to 12 visit piece actually helps me a lot understand why the costs are as high as they are. I know that we want this to be a cost neutral addition to the city's portfolio, what we do and the services we provide. So that is a lot of visits. To what extent does that, I mean, obviously, if you need to inspect electrical before they close up a wall or whatever, then they're waiting on your office to come by. To what extent does this process delay construction for builders typically? I mean, is there an answer to that question?
There sure is. In my eyes, it doesn't delay them at all. What it takes is a little more organization on their time. So put it as an example, somebody's going to be pouring footings. They know that they're going to be pouring that concrete at 7 in the morning on Thursday. They call me on Wednesday afternoon, I will be there. So there's no delay, it's just more organization on their time. Same thing with the framing, they're framing up a house. You know, the GC on site knows that they're gonna be ready Thursday, it's Monday, give me a call on Monday, I'll be there Thursday. So it's just a little bit of organization on their part. You know, and if I know there's gonna be times when, you know, things get crazy for them too, you know, even if they can call me 3-4 hours in advance. Decorah is not a huge town. It's like, what, 10 minutes from one end to the other? I've worked in a lot of places that it takes an hour and 15 minutes to get from one corner to the other of a county. And it's not going to be a real big issue, I don't think. You know, like I said, it's organization on their part.
I'm very appreciative of the information Greg sent out regarding both the frequently answered questions, asked questions, and the fees involved. So thank you, Greg.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, any further discussion? Roll call?
Chisholm.
Aye.
Luce.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Hadley.
Aye.
Zittergrun.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Motion carries. Discussion and possible actions on policy for requests for the use of franchise fees.
Okay, so this came up as a result of our work session, and which is why it's on the council tonight, because as you know, we can't make any kind of decision at a work session. So it's on the agenda tonight for your consideration as to how to move forward with those requests. What kind of process do you want to use?
And specifically, the mayor and I were, you know, in the sustainability task force, the MEU task force, and sort of the lack of clarity on this issue had already sort of sowed confusion among the members of the task force in terms of what the process was for requesting these funds. You know, whether they needed to go through the Sustainability Commission before coming to us. And so I think at that point, you know, the mayor and I both seem to be agreed that we should, for the sake of our other leaders in town, be really clear about how these allocations happen.
Yep.
Well, I would move that the city
Can you
council,
go up to the microphone?
I would move that the city council have a line item budget for this, and the Sustainability Commission or other entities that are would need sustainability type monies come and make a presentation here. It would be very similar to this electric charging stations. I mean, it was good to know what the fees or costs were going to be, and what our expectations are from our side.
I don't disagree. I would say that I'd like to see them go to the Sustainability Commission first, and then the commission comes to us, so that we don't have multiple people asking us. It's always the commission asking us. And given that the fees Essentially, within that committee, they're trying to keep track of, they're looking at the big picture of what they might be asking for. I know after their work session, we talked about having them create some kind of budget request or temporary, like, look at what their budget might be for a year. So I think it would be very beneficial to have, especially like the task force or other people, go to the commission first and then have the commission ask us. So I'd like that
Wouldn't there
line.
be a, if I'm thinking of a line item though, like every year there would be a line item with an amount and then how would that work? I mean, I
So-
think when we talked in the work session, that, you know, any money that's being spent or worked with has to come to the council first.
That wouldn't change. So all I'm saying is that we already have a line item, right? We put it in the work session. It's where the franchise fee gets dumped in. All I'm saying is that much like the airport commission or any other commission, people are going to go to them and say, this is what I'd like to have the project, the sustainability commission that has the expertise, that has the keeping their eye on the plan in general and prioritization of that plan. It makes sense to me that they get to hear that request first. They can discuss the request, then they can come to us and say, here's what we heard, here's what we think. If they come to us first, my first response will be, well, go ask the Sustainability Commission first. I mean, that would be my response because that's what we tasked them to do, was to keep track of the plan and the goals. So I guess I don't want to step on that commission's toes to have the authority to look at the plan and gauge a project based on the priorities within the plan. But it would still come to us. It's not like they can approve funding. It's just going to go through them and then come to us.
But there has to be clarity as far as how much funding goes where.
Well, there is clarity because we've already committed that half the franchise fees minus the forester goes to Sustainability Commission. Sustainability. So we already know the funding formula. We said half to streets, half to sustainability, and then we agreed to take the foresting position currently right now out of that sustainability fee, so we already know the amount. That is not in question.
Well, I
That's
actually,
accurate.
I mean, I think right now, technically, we have unlimited spending authority to do anything we want to with this, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to make an official policy, because I do think that we should reflect that understanding in a policy that we adopt.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
I mean, that's one of the reasons I think that clarity should be there, so that we're not tempted to dip into this for unintended uses or uses not in alignment with that deal that was made.
Right. So for what I'm hearing from you is that the policy would both clarify the funding, which is half of the franchise fees from the electric franchise, and then that the Sustainability Commission would sort of help outline what that budget should be, set priorities, listen to requests, and make requests then of council directly.
And I'm assuming then that all the money spent will be for like capital projects, will be for things, you know, that are project-based. In other words, I don't want this money to go toward legal fees or as some sort of a war chest for, you know, people wanting to go to war with Alliant Energy or anybody else. So I want to make sure that this money is being spent on things that have value that will make our community carbon footprint a little better.
I do think, so I guess my response to that would be that we did outline the MEU task force and the need to be able to communicate with the iUtilities board, right? And to think about those kinds of conversations, those would involve legal fees.
Yeah.
And I guess my understanding when we signed the franchise fee is that we would be using some of that money to help with the MEU process.
We spent $25,000 last summer on strongly worded letters to Alliant Energy, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to continue to do that going into the future. I just think that our community and the people in our community are going to expect that money to be spent on purposeful things that are going to help our community. And I really don't want to see it be a war chest for folks who are mad at Alliant Energy.
I don't see it as a war chest. I see it as a way in which to pursue the MEU process. Now, if you're saying that you don't want to pursue the MEU process, then that would be certainly something as council we could discuss. All I'm saying is if we want to pursue the MEU process, we are going to need to have some money designated to legal counsel to be able to communicate with the iUtility board. Just like when we pursue roosters in town, we need legal fees to help us get to court to fight roosters in community.
that's why I'm proposing and made the motion to keep the fees, or that part of the sustainability money under our control until somebody asks for it.
It still
And
is.
then
All
we
I'm,
decide,
I am not
if it's
doubting
the
that.
park, if it's the Park and Rec that has a project that is a sustainability type project, why can't they come and ask for sustainability money out of this franchise fee?
Then I think they can. I just am asking that they go through the council or to the commission because they have the plan. They have a prioritized plan that we passed and told them to get this plan done. And so if we are gonna undercut what their priorities within the plan, we might as well have kept the plan here and not had a commission.
Yeah, Emily, I mean, I think that makes sense to me too, that normally the proper order of this is that I don't want to have to remember every single detail of the sustainability plan and have to make all these judgments about evaluating every particular funding request for how it fits in or what it would do to other pieces of the sustainability plan. I think that that's the way it should be for the normal course of events. However, I also, on the MEU task force, there are sometimes, there had been sort of requests where time was of the essence. And if the timing of meetings is wrong, and let's say that a commission says, hey, there's this opportunity to do this thing, well, do they have to wait for the next Sustainability Commission meeting, which could be a month away, and then for the next council meeting after that, which could be another week or two? It just seems like it might be that there should be at least a more streamlined way for those requests to get before council than going through that whole process if something is of an urgent nature.
I think they could request the Sustainability Commission to meet quickly. I mean, right? I mean, just like same with us. They have to meet our timeline. They meet once a month, the commission does, but when we have urgent things that need to go to P&Z or Board of Adjustment, they have a special meeting.
Okay, so we don't have a second to that yet. And there's been a lot of discussion before having a second, so I don't know. I just want to remind everybody of that.
We do not have a second to Randy's motion.
Randy, could you state
I
the
will
motion?
second Randy's motion.
It is that they have to come to us before the money's released.
Who has to come to us? The commission?
Anyone.
Either the Sustainability Commission or, like I said, if one of our other departments has a project that involves a sustainable faction or part of their project, they can come to us and ask for some of that funding also, or to fund some of that project through that. Say they want to put solar panels on a picnic shelter through the Park Rec. They could come and talk to us about that directly.
Thanks for the
I
clarification.
would,
Reason to go to the commission because we're going to sit here and be like, we should ask the commission because
We have a motion. And
we have a
seconded,
second.
And we have a second.
Kirk seconded.
So then, now get back to your discussion.
I'm probably going to vote against your motion, Randy, and only because I do think that we should encourage people normally not to come directly to council with this. I think that we should encourage them in normal order to go to the Sustainability Commission.
Lewis will definitely vote against this, as we've established a Sustainability Commission. We've earmarked funds for them, minus the forester position. We have a body who is keeping track on the goals that we've adopted for sustainability for Decorah. So I think it's putting the cart ahead of the horse if we don't have people seeking funding to go to sustainability to see how it ties into our plan before it would be coming to the council for final demarcation.
Okay, you have a motion and second. Further discussion or comments? Hearing none, roll call.
Chisholm.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Luce.
No?
Carlson.
Aye.
Neal.
no.
Hadley.
No.
Sittergrun.
No.
Okay, motion failed.
I'm wondering if we could ask staff, since we're still in discussion on this issue now. I think we are, right? Okay. I'm wondering if we can ask staff to draft a policy that we could just, maybe look at it at the next meeting or something. It's hard to draft a policy sort of by making a motion in a meeting like this. Is that something that the rest of council thinks would be a better way of doing this, or do we think that we could find 4 votes on a consensus idea right now?
Well, it sounds like a bit, there needs to be more discussion on this before we bring votes to the council.
I think a policy would help because we could look at it, and I would encourage the policy to both include the amount of the franchise fee, so the half going to sustainability, and I would encourage, at least from my perspective, I think the only hiccup and why I voted against it is I think it first should go to sustainability and they should come here. Again, council should have discretion of the funds, but sustainability should make the recommendation.
But then they're also filtering all the ideas. And what if those ideas don't get through the Sustainability Commission? How are we going to know about that?
I mean, I think the reason that we designated the money to sustainability was because we have a plan. I mean, we have a 34-page plan with like how many steps in it, and to say that we don't already have projects that we have ideas for, it's not as if we don't have a plan that is going to require some of the funding that we're seeking.
I think also, Andy, that if that were a problem, people would have lots of recourse. They could call their council person. They could, we also as council members can look at the agenda of the Sustainability Commission, and if we see that they're shooting down things that we actually would like to be brought before us for consideration, we can, we have remedies, I think. So I'm not so worried about that becoming a problem, but if it does, we can fix it.
Well, I think, when I think about, like, if there's something that somebody says, we'd like to work with this, but perhaps it's covered generally by the sustainability plan, but may not be in the plan that year or something, what's the recourse for something on that year? And they still go to the Sustainability Commission and ask them?
I think they should go to the Sustainability Commission and ask them, because I think the Sustainability Commission will be like, yeah, this makes sense. But if they're asking for, $100,000 to do blank, the commission's going to go like, if we do this, we don't do any of this. I don't know.
I'm just thinking about how do you provide for additional interest as far as where money could be going if something would come up versus just having a whole, how do you make that
Why do you have?
plan fluid?
Why do we have it's not unlike the street committee or the airport commission or any of these other commissions that bring budget requests to us and then we approve. It's frustrating to me why this feels like we're reinventing the wheel.
Right.
Randy, I didn't have a real problem with your proposal because I think we all agree that the council should still have final say in the disbursement of any money that the city holds. But it's just frustrating that we keep having this. How's this going to work? It's not any different than anything else, and I think we should be able to work past this.
Well, if you work on a policy that has, as Emily suggested, the amount, the listing of the fees, potential fees, how it's divided out per year, that it would first go to the Sustainability Commission, but that eventually it just comes to the City Council for the consideration.
I think Ross brings a really good point. What would it look like if every time there was a street project, we had a meeting about what streets we wanted to prioritize? We don't do it that way.
But the difference is the streets are part of the departments are part of the city. And the sustainability is a commission, and the commission doesn't have any fiduciary responsibilities.
But it's still
None
part of
them do.
It's still part of the city, though. I mean, it's a city commission.
Or the airport commission, when they wanted to apply for a grant and they needed an ask. I think we sussed this out quite well in the work session, so I'm just going to do it. Hadley makes a motion that we split the franchise fee money in half, with half going to streets and half going to sustainability, less the forester. One motion.
Second.
Okay. Could you please?
Okay.
We already do that.
I mean, that's already been decided.
Right.
When?
I think you're trying to decide the process to use. How
I think so
about,
too.
as a compromise, okay, any request has to go to sustainability,
Mhm.
for recommendation. But then any request, whether they recommend that or whether they don't recommend it, still comes back to the council, because maybe the council thinks that that is a worthy idea, and so maybe the council wants to go ahead and approve it, much like planning and zoning may approve a site plan and say, or recommend approval of rezoning, but the council doesn't want to do it. Council still has the final say, but P&Z is recommending to do it, and council says no, or P&Z says no, and council wants to do it. So any request still comes back to the council.
I think there are two separate issues at hand. So you just sort of said that we'd already actually made that decision, but my understanding was that that was just a orally agreed on consensus, and that there's never been formal action formalizing that division of money. So could you clarify, has there been formal council action regarding this split?
Honestly, we've talked about this so many times
We have
that
not.
I don't know if there's been formal action, but I think there are two different things that you're talking about here.
Yeah.
Is
And
how
that's
you
why I made
actually-
one motion.
Actually
Yep,
split
go
it
ahead,
up,
Ross.
and then the process to request it. The process to request it is what was on the agenda tonight.
So I think they both need to be written down. I mean, I'll vote for Ross's ordinance. I would vote for it if we vote on this, but I still think we need to write down the funding and the process.
Yeah, so the agenda actually does say discussion and possible action on a policy for request, like Wanda said, but then also use of franchise fees. And I think Ross's motion speaks pretty clearly towards use of franchise fees. And there's a motion and a second, so.
Okay, but can you clarify your motion again, please, Ross?
My motion was that we take the franchise fees generated through the Alliant Energy franchise agreement and split them in half between the street department and the Sustainability Commission, less the arborist position that we had begrudgingly agreed to fund for the first year.
Did Ross in his original motion actually say that the funds would be given to the Sustainability Commission or to sustainability? My recollection is that he said sustainability.
It was to go to, well, what we talked about before was that it was to go to sustainability, but it was also my understanding that the city forester position would always be funded out of that money,
No,
not
it's
just
just for
for
a year.
1 year.
And no council can commit to anything over a year anyway. We can't encumber future councils, so we're just good to go, right?
Yeah.
Ross, could you clarify if you said Sustainability Commission or to sustainability? I think it really does change things.
Yeah.
I would like to create a sustainability fund.
I'm fine
You
with that.
already have that.
Okay, well then I would like that to go to the funds to go to the sustainability fund. Is that clear?
Yeah.
That is what I had the intention to second, so, yeah.
Okay, well, that's different than Sustainability Commission.
We know
Right.
that.
Yep.
Okay.
As
all
soon
right,
as
just
it's
to be
over, I
clear.
will make a motion
Okay.
that we.
No, wait.
Okay.
We
Well, let's
gotta-
vote on this
you
one,
know,
and then I'll make a motion
let's
on how the
only-
process
Let's do
works.
one at a time.
Great.
Okay. All right, are we clear on Ross's motion?
Yes.
And we have a second by Zittergruen. We've had discussion. Is there any other further discussion?
Steve seconded that?
Yes.
Okay.
Hearing none, roll call.
Hadley,
Aye.
Zittergruen.
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Chisel. Carlson,
Aye.
Luce. Luce. Luce
Sorry, I was muted. Aye.
and Johnson.
Okay.
I'm sorry, we couldn't hear Johnson.
He said aye.
Aye.
I make a motion that we set a process that requests for use of sustainability funds come first through the Sustainability Commission and then to council whenever possible.
Luce would second.
Okay, we have a motion made by Neil. Please state that again, please.
I make a motion that any request to use sustainability funds comes first through the Sustainability Commission and then on to council whenever possible.
How are we going to
Emily, what
define
about the
whenever
words
possible?
whenever
Wait,
possible?
just a minute.
What? Oh, that was just in case they couldn't meet in time, I guess, if there was something like they needed a grant and somehow they couldn't get the commission to meet, so they needed to come to us directly, but I can take that away too, I suppose.
What was your comment?
I wondered what whenever possible meant.
I'll
mean, 'cause that's
can I
pretty
redo
vague.
I'll just redo it. Can I just?
Ordinarily.
Ordinarily. Okay, so the ordinary process.
Before you make a motion,
Yeah.
Your original request is that we bring back wordage for something like this?
No, now I'm ready to just get it done. So.
She's making a
scratch that.
motion.
Can we exclude legal fees from these requests?
We can vote no to anything we want to, right?
Correct.
You know, there's a piece of me that thinks that some of this has to be worked through and not just, it feels to me like we're just jumping forward and putting motion requests, and make things go through when there's still quite a bit of confusion going on.
Yeah.
I guess I am with Ross.
I
in that
disagree, Mayor.
I think we can
I
make
understand
the
that you do,
process
Ross.
easily done in an ordinance. I mean, we can easily vote on the process, which
Yeah,
to me.
I'm not sure what ordinarily means either.
Fine, I'll redo my motion that the process for requesting the use of sustainability funds should first go to the Sustainability Commission and then on to council.
Second, Hadley.
Luce already seconded,
Yeah.
and it's in keeping with the original.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that clear? Yeah, that clear,
Yes.
Wanda?
Okay, so any request for money goes to sustainability first for recommendation and then to council for formal action.
Okay,
All right.
I understand that piece. All right.
I-
Roll call.
I have a sort of concern. Sorry, man. I know you're. We're all here to watch that basketball game there.
Well, it's not till 8
I think we're
something.
good. I guess I don't love the motion. I wish that there was some sort of ordinarily language that we had time to workshop it. However, I do know that we can fix this if the process isn't working the way that we desire it to as council. So
Okay, well, I
Yeah.
do think that could be done, but I also think that that's probably going to take another meeting if you wanted to not
Yeah.
end up passing this tonight. It could come back, but I think you need more definitive language than ordinarily or
I took out ordinarily.
whenever possible. I know, but,
Yep.
I mean, we could come up with something that would, give some examples, under certain conditions, it could go directly to council, but I don't think we could come up with that tonight.
So as staff, are you recommending that we wait for you all to have a chance to develop language, or what?
Can we vote on my
We
ordinance?
have a
Staff is
motion
not
and a
recommending-
second.
Yeah, and there is a motion and second
You
on the
got a
floor,
motion
so
and a
yeah,
second.
you have to vote on that
follow
now.
through with that.
I understand that.
I took out ordinarily and I took out, we're not saying that
Right.
they can't come to council after Sustainability Commission. The process is they go to Sustainability Commission
Yep.
and then they come to council.
Right.
That's what I'm asking for.
Right, Steve is asking if there could be some exceptions.
No, and
To that rule.
my point is I'm willing to vote for this tonight the way it is because I know that we can fix this in sessions if it ends up not working the way
Sure.
that we want it to.
Yes, it can.
Okay, roll call.
Neal,
Aye.
Luce,
Aye.
Chisel. Zittergrun,
Aye.
Hadley,
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Johnson.
No.
Okay, motion passed. All right, city manager. How about the interim manager? Start with you, Wanda.
Okay, I guess I don't have a lot more for you tonight, except maybe to say I will be gone at a meeting in Des Moines on Wednesday and Thursday. I have board meetings Wednesday night and Thursday morning for ICAP and for IMWCA. And I do have some more information on a travel car that I will submit for you at the next council meeting. Yeah, I'll let you know. I'll give it to you then, but I think our best option that I can tell right now is in order to buy locally, and to buy a vehicle that can be fixed locally is to go with a proposal I got from Decorah Auto.
But you'll be bringing back information.
Yeah, we'll talk about that at the next
Okay.
meeting. And that's probably all I have tonight.
Okay. Dave?
Both Jeremy Brill and the street department and myself and the Decorah Police Department each purchased a electronic radar speed limit signs. We have met last week on trying to find a place that they will best be suited. They're permanent, they're not moving from place to place. One will be placed on College Drive near the swimming pool when you're coming into Decorah to denote when the speed goes from 35 to 25. We picked that spot there because of all the traffic with the swimming pool, as well as a crosswalk there, and to get people slowing down coming into town. The second one will be placed on Division Street, up near the trailhead, to get people to slow down from 45 to 35 when they're coming into town. We'll see how well they go before we look at purchasing other ones for the city.
Dave?
Is the trailer still functional, Chief?
Trailer is, it's been parked all winter, but we'll rake the leaves off the top of it and see how it is.
I'd encourage us to keep it out too and move as it is movable.
Yeah, we looked at last year working with the IT to ensure that the electronics were working inside, because my goal is to start pulling some data off of that speed trailer. For those that don't know, that keeps track of car count, speed limits, speed readings, time of day, traffic flow. So I want to start incorporating that more and more and start using that for the annual reports as well. So that's my intent, is to get it back out.
I would encourage Fifth Avenue to be a place to slow people down.
All right.
Thank you.
I was actually going to try and get an email out to you guys tonight, but I didn't have time here. This morning at the department head table, we talked about a lot of the meetings. There's been a significant amount of meetings already with Chad gone. Several groups have started creating their own Zoom meetings. And I don't know if that's a good idea. So I guess I want to put that back on the shoulder of the council. It's not a problem for us to do it in-house. The only problem in the past is typically, I think it's Wednesdays, that we have a conflict. We could have 2 meetings at once on Zoom. And we have a conflict, of course, this Wednesday where we had somebody had an unexpected meeting come up. They wanted 2 hours. We were only able to give them an hour and a half. They weren't very happy. We did talk about potentially buying another license. It's not a big expense. It's under probably $300. The thing that would concern me is, with as contentious as everything is in this world, this day and age, would you want your IT department in the city to control that a little bit more? That way, if there's something that's recorded, maybe not necessarily posted on the website for every commission or every other smaller meeting, but at least the council or the city management could go back and review those if there ever needs to be?
Well, I think logistically, it's a matter of orchestrating the meetings. Obviously, Chad did it all together, so
Yeah, Chad
he
and I
had
did
it.
those before. Chad most of
Now,
them.
with the ones, we have to try and orchestrate who's going to be, where's that house, so that when there's more than one meeting, if somebody does one meeting and then there's one meeting all at once, well, I had a meeting. So it's a matter of logistically figuring out how to orchestrate the Zoom meetings, correct?
What's the conflict on Wednesdays? Commission, I know sustainability meets then, so.
This
No.
one's the evening is Board of Health. It's Historic Preservation, I think. Not Board of Health, Board of Adjustment, I think.
Board of Adjustment and Historic Preservation.
Yep, and there's been
right.
some conflicts there, and I think there's been some other ones. This week there happens to be 3. I don't remember what the third one is off the top of my head right now. I have to go back and look. I think if I create some type of maybe policy, I'll send off to Wanda. She can get off to you guys. And we could send out, there's several of us that know how to create the meetings. I think maybe that would I just don't want to feel like I'm stepping on toes, trying to take too much away. But the sustainability group at MEU, sounds like they just started creating their own.
You don't feel like it'd be too much of a burden on your office to just create all the meetings? Is that, I mean,
I think it would be better for you guys long term.
I do too.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I think if it's another $300, that's a lot cheaper than potential legal fees if something goes wrong. So if you're looking for a sense of the council, that's my sense.
Okay.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I think the potential liability for open meeting issues far outweighs the $300.
Mhm.
Yeah.
we can get a policy in place where we can send out to all these commissions, that, like if they can't get a hold of me on my phone or email or something like that, the best way that we'll have them make that request.
Yep.
To us. I mean, they have to do it 24 hours in advance anyways for the
Right.
postings and stuff like that anyways, but I just wanted to make sure that you guys were all aware of what we were thinking.
Well, it makes the meeting, I mean, it just uncomplicates a lot more.
From a previous conversation, it just means that people need to plan ahead more and coordinate things. And
Yep.
I'm in favor of that.
Yeah, there just needs to be better communication.
Yep.
Well, and they have to post a meeting. I mean, we know when the meetings are. They have to post them. They're
Right.
open meetings. So I think it makes sense.
Okay, let's see, who else? Do you have any other staff considerations?
I think they're all in the Dropbox.
Okay, sounds good. Randy? Do you have anything?
Well, the only thing, I had a question, this is for Chopper and/or Kristen. With the recordings of these, are we turning these over to local cable to be put on channel what used to be channel 15, 79.3 now? Because there's some folks that have missed our meetings since we've gone to YouTube. They don't have internet, but they do have cable.
In the past, that currently they've just been instructed to go on YouTube, the city YouTube channel. They have not been on the public access channel. And that's
Okay.
something that, you know, if you guys make that request, we can, you know, go back to doing that. Until we got the latest, you know, stuff in here, we weren't able to do that. It was just strictly through the Zoom recordings. If it's a meeting in here, we could do the other recording that's easier to convert back to put in the public access channel as well.
But this would be just city council meetings, correct?
Correct, yeah.
There-
Right.
Yeah, I think the other ones that we're recording, we're just keeping them somewhere at this point. That's
Yeah,
fine.
Yeah, I have heard from some folks that don't have access to internet and they miss the cable access.
Janelle used to express that concern for quite a while during the pandemic and about it just being on the YouTube. And I know there were several people that knew had requested that as well.
can you check and see if it's logistically possible to get that back on the public access?
Yep,
please?
I'll report back to you.
All right, thank you. That's all I have tonight, Mayor.
Okay, Steve, Zittergrun,
Nothing to report?
Emily?
Are we having Betterment MS?
Yeah, we have a Betterment meeting,
So-
generally. We have a Betterment meeting after this, so.
It's on after this.
Right.
Ah, okay, good. So then I've got nothing to report either, other than
Okay.
everybody get outside and enjoy the weather.
Kurt?
Nothing, Mayor.
Andy?
Nothing at this time, Mayor.
Ross?
No, ma'am, nothing, thank you.
Steve Luce?
Yes, I wanted to offer condolences to Wanda and her loss and their family. And thank Chad, even though he's not listening, for his first day down there. I hope it went well. And then there's a SMID meeting on Wednesday I'll be attending on behalf of the council.
Okay, and
That's it, Mayor.
Thank you, Steve.
And that meeting is via Zoom too, right? Correct?
Correct.
Okay, got it.
I do think we should long-term have Zoom meetings on Zoom as well, like access for people to be able to Zoom into our meetings. For another time, but.
Yeah, good idea. To talk about it at another time, yeah. Okay, so we will make a motion to close the meeting. We have a Betterment Committee meeting after this.